Hey everyone, this is Dimitar, and I have the honor to present you my co-host in this podcast number one. This is my mentor, my friend, and my brother, Wyatt Stav. And what's up, Wyatt?
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm awesome, man. I'm really grateful for you showing up here and for agreeing to do this with me. You're doing me a huge honor.
Yeah, of course, bro. Content is content, and create it as much as possible, and then you become a content creator. So, I don't know. I just always look for ways to, put out more of me, and I feel like all good content creators are on that quest, because
Totally.
At the end of the day, that's what your product is just forms of content that you create.
Yeah, absolutely. And as the more you do it and the more content you create, you just realize that at one point of this timeline, it's just you yourself are becoming something like a brand. So you're trying just to show up as much as you can.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be treated and viewed, for sure, is that you should view yourself as a brand. If you're trying to do anything in the space of content creation professionally, whether it be, you're a musician or you're a streamer or you're a podcaster or whatever the case may be, if you're uploading consistent content to a platform of some sort, then you fall into that label. I guess you fall into my definition of that label.
Yeah.
And you automatically then need to treat yourself as a brand and think about what you're doing as a brand and how you represent yourself online and how you brand who you are in all areas. It no longer becomes, personal social media that you can dick around on. Totally. It's now everything is in the public eye all of a sudden. So
yeah, sure. And since this is the episode 1, and probably most of the people will know you, but not me, I just wanted to be a fangirl really quickly and say that exactly 1 year ago, maybe not the exact day, but anyway, so 1 year ago I was watching your videos, and this is, by the way, what I was thinking today. So I was watching your videos and I was like, man, this guy is cool. I want to be like this guy. And I was like, it would be so nice if I could talk to this guy, to get in touch with him, tell him, how cool he is, probably get some inspiration from him. And one year later, I'm sitting here and I'm doing this with you. And man, it feels like a dream came true, It's like, I don't know, it's awesome. So what I'm saying is because if you work your ass off, things will start to happen, and it's just great.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I'm stoked. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty cool story. I'm stoked to be here too. This is really true. I mean, this is the exact same thing that's happened to me along the way. One of the big things, one of the first big first big opportunities I got was, I guess big for me at the time, was I was in high school, and this girl who was actually a year younger than me, but she had been at that point in the music industry for a long time, and her dad had been pulling her out of classes to go down to LA for weeks at a time to record with all these well-known producers, some of the guys who work with like the Eagles and all this crazy stuff. And she came to our school, which is also her school, and she played, I guess they were doing like a mock run of what was going to be their show, their packaged show to tour. And they came and they played. Oh, and they also recorded like a music video in the cafeteria / auditorium thing that was my school where they played the stage. And they recorded it as like a mock show, but also as that music video that I talked about. And I watched this and it blew my mind. I was like, yo, what? A girl younger than me going to this school is doing this, and I want to be a rock star, and I'm sitting on my ass at home playing Halo. I gotta get up and do something, right? So that was like the mindset. So my music class got taken through the stage and taken through all the gear that was being used, and it blew my mind, man. Like this girl was, while the girl herself was like she was still new to it as well, and you could tell that. But the contacts and the people that she was working with and the equipment, oh my God, it was like, it was just mind blowing, right? For me at that age, I was in grade like 9 or 10, right? So we saw all this, and the guitarist takes us through his rig, the drummer takes us through his rig. We find out that the drummer is from Manhattan, and he plays in all these crazy bands. And, you know, right now he's actually the drummer who I met then is actually currently the drummer for Shania Twain. So like he had all this crazy equipment, and we saw all this. And after the show, I went up to their guitar player Steve Costello, and I kind of pulled him aside, and I like really wanted to get involved with this somehow. And I know like they have a drummer, I'm not looking to play for them, you know. I didn't even feel ready, like I could handle the likes of what they're doing. And so I hit him up, and I'm just trying to get involved somehow. I don't care what it is. I just want to be involved with this, because this is going somewhere, and this is my first real glimpse at what I want my career to look like going forward, right? And I knew it then. Like I knew deep down, like this is exactly what I am going to figure out how to do one day. And I've got aside with Steve, and he gave me a bunch of awesome advice. Like the first thing he said was, okay, you're a drummer. How often do you play with a click track? Which is it's like a silly thing for you and I to even talk about not having the ability to,
it's like, you know, knowing the alphabet, like it's just mandatory. Period.
Prerequisite. Exactly. And I told him like, yeah, I try and practice with a click, whatever. But like we actually got into a jam session, and that's when he was asking me stuff like that. And but basically what happened was I started to develop a relationship with this guitar player, super fangirl over all of it. And I got involved with the whole project. And the closer I got, the more I realized that, they're kind of having some friction with their drummer. It's really difficult and really costly to fly in this American drummer, get him a visa, get his drum set here, or rent drum sets here, all this kind of stuff, right? So eventually, long story short, eventually I got the gig as their drummer, and they fired the other guy. And it was like what you just described, which was like I saw this, I idolized it, I worked as hard as I could, and then all of a sudden I was involved with it. And what got me involved with it actually was my early covers. I had recorded 3 covers at the time, and I sent those covers in as part of a resume to this project. And the dad/manager of the project, he was really impressed by all of it, and he wanted me to come on, and I got to play shows with her and do some runs with her. And that was the exact same thing. And then there was 4 other events that happened in my life along the way to getting to where I am now in my career that was the exact same thing that you described. One of the big ones too was like, well, I'm kind of hogging this, but one of the big ones was I got to work with Down and Dirty, who was a big deal in my mind back in the day, and I got to meet like Dennis Stoff when he still was in Asking, and there was like a whole 2016, 2015, 2017-ish.
And we all know how much you love Asking.
Oh, exactly, yeah, 100%. I mean, like, if there's one thing the public knows about me is that I love that band, right? For sure. That band and Architects, right? So.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Man, it's pretty cool when you grind really hard, and at the end of it, you get what you were after, you know?
Yeah. And as I was telling a few minutes earlier about, you know, fangirling all over you, and I still do, by the way, for the record. You just don't know about it. I'm telling everybody I know about you, and I'm bragging about it, and like, yo, Wyatt Stav's my friend. He's my buddy. Oh, no shit, yeah, fuck you.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so, what really got me moving, because I'm playing drums for like, probably 12 years now, but up until, the last year, it was just something like a hobby. So, but I just knew I wanted to do something with drums. I just didn't know how, I didn't know what exactly. So probably the biggest, cornerstone so far has been your video about, I think it was called A Week in My Life or something like that.
Yeah, that was what it was called, yeah.
Yeah. So, it was just, one of all the videos I watched, but it really, it sounds corny as fuck, but it really changed my life, because after I watched it and I saw what insane amount of work you're putting in, and your schedule, you know the video. I mean, and I was like, bro, this dude is busting his ass off, and he's doing it. So I can even start off better with better. My situation right now is not so bad. So why am I sitting here and watching YouTube instead of doing stuff? So this is when I really started to look into your Patreon and trying to get a hold of you and stuff like that. And this video is actually what motivated me and pushed me forward to actually start. And when I started, I had my old iPhone, the special edition, which is crap. And I bought some mics and everything that's needed for me to record myself. And I was scared. I was scared because I've never done this before. I've never played in front of a camera, and it was scary. But every next video that I uploaded, it was just getting better. I got the stress was going lower and lower, and here I am, one year later, about 60 videos later, and I just fucking love it. So yeah. It's strange because when you're working hard and you're hustling daily, you can't really measure you can't really measure your progress other than just some statistics and numbers in YouTube Studio. But when you take a moment and look back and see, just like I'm doing now, like 1 year ago, I didn't know you, I didn't have any channel, I didn't have videos. And now, 1 year later, I'm here and I'm doing a podcast with fucking Wyatt Stav. Dude, I'm good. I'm doing good.
Yeah, man, it's hindsight's 2020, and that's the toughest part, because if you are a high functioning individual, you probably have a unbelievable ability to focus, and when you're focusing on something, it's really, really hard to see what's going on around you.
Yeah.
So that's a really good point, and it's something that's really, really difficult, I found over the years, to sort of take a second to relax, because when you're focused and you know where you want to get, every second you're not working towards getting there is a wasted second in your mind if you're really focused.
Yeah.
You have to take those moments where you okay, now I have to decompress, or I'm going to run myself into the ground and look back and go, holy shit, look how far I've come.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I might be halfway there up the climb, but I mean, this is a hell of a lot further than where I thought I was going to be, or any of those types of situations,
Absolutely. And it's pretty good at the expression, running yourself to the ground, because some days I feel like I'm just going on a treadmill, so I'm just running and I don't have the time, and I'm so scared to lose focus just to get my head up and see what's going on. It just feels like I'm doing the same thing over and over again and nothing changes. But in moments like these, when you look back and just take a deep breath, relax for a second, you just see that actually I reached goals and I did stuff that I thought it would take me a year. For the last 3 months, I did stuff and I gained subscribers, views, etc., that I thought it would take me at least a year to accomplish. And now, looking forward to the end of the year, I actually realized that I might just hit 1,000 subs, which for me was something unthinkable.
Yeah, man. Well, that video you talked about, A Week of My Life, that video has really made a lot of waves for me. And when I recorded it, I had no idea that it was going to have the effect on people that it seemed to. Because I get a lot of people who hit me up and they go, even of the people who have pledged to my Patreon and support the channel financially,
yeah,
they all say the same thing, which is I thought you were cool, and then I saw that video, and then I had to get involved. I had to support you somehow, and it was so cool and inspired me to do this and do that. I'm really glad that I actually took the time to do that video. I was debating whether or not I should for a while, and at the time I was working in a warehouse at a mall. I was working in the stockroom of a Forever 21, which is no longer a company.
Yeah.
and my coworker, shout out to my coworker Brad, he and I have become him and I have become basically best friends at this point since those days. And yeah, we would talk about this stuff every day because he's on the grind as well. He's not in music, he's in a related art, he's in photography and film, but same sort of thing as me, right? Like back then we were just trying to, I mean, I had 5,000 subs at the time, right? So like, and we were just trying to get something going, get traction going. And I don't know. I started that. Here's the thing too, is like, after I posted that video, it wasn't too long. It might have been maybe 4 months until I stopped doing that schedule after the video. But leading up to that video, I was on that schedule for a better part of like 3 to 4 years. Yeah. And at one point, like 2 a.m. wasn't even, 2 a.m. was pussy shit compared to where it started. I used to actually get up at midnight. That's where the whole thing started. I used to get up at midnight, and I knew that, okay, I have to work at 7, and if I work 8 hours, 7 to 3:30, I get off at 3:30, and if I can get home for 4 and then pass out right away, I can sleep from 4 till midnight, and I'll get 8 hours of sleep, and then I can get up at midnight, and the first hour just wake up. You know, I would literally wake up at midnight, drink coffee, play some video games, and then by 1 a.m. I was drumming or working out. And then after that, I would drum and work out, whatever I needed to do. Obviously, it was always different because of, with editing and stuff like that going on. But usually I started with a workout from 1 a.m. to 2, sometimes 1 a.m. to 2:30, depending on how hard I'm going. And then after that, it was drum set until 7, or till 6 when I have to shower or whatever. And I just had this thing in my head, which was if you've read Eckhart Tolle, he has a book, not Eckhart Tolle, wrong author. If you've read Outliers, who did that? Fuck.
No, I think the Eckhart Tolle was the Power of Now.
Yeah.
The most famous one.
Yeah, I didn't mean that book. I meant Outliers. But in Outliers is a great book, and it talks about the 10,000 hour rule and how if you want to be successful at anything, well, if you want to master anything, any skill, you need to put in 10,000 hours of work into it to become a master at that skill. And if you do the math, 10,000 hours is not that much. It's really not. It's actually 5 years of full-time hours. You can take weekends off, and as long as you work 8 hours a day for, 5 days a week for 5 years, you will be at 10,000. That's not a very long time. That's nothing, right? And when I found this out, I was a teenager, 15, 14. So that's nothing to a teenager, right? Because by the time, if you start at 15, by the time you're 20, you're not even like, most people aren't even done college and figuring out what they want to do with life. So if you can master a skill by the time you're 20, that's going to open up a lot of doors. So that's what I had in the back of my head. And I knew that every day I had to work 8 hours at a job in order to feed myself. I had to sleep 8 hours in order to function. And then I had to figure out how I could spend as many hours as possible. Really, it came out to about 4 to 5 each day at the drum set. So that 5 years, maybe I have to spend 10 years, whatever it is, but I'm going to put in the time and get to that point where I can call myself a master and make this into a career. And that's where the whole schedule kind of like came from. Mm-hmm. And I just thought like it was like a one-off stupid little idea. Like I thought, you know what, like my schedule is kind of interesting. I see people talk about like what, stuff like this on motivational channels and stuff. Maybe I'll just post my schedule and see how it goes. And now it's at like 200,000 views, and people hit me up about it all the time, and it's like, god damn, like it's just me sitting there at my computer with my calendar open, but it seemed to really touch a lot of people.
Content, bro, it's not like it's what you're saying that's valuable. It's not the computer nor the microphone, and I think that you have such a massive success. Well, I'm saying this because it was it had obviously a huge effect on me. Is because you're a young man, and obviously judging by your videos, you're good at what you're doing. So and
pretending to be, at least.
Yeah, and the majority of people who are watching videos like these are the same young people as we are, and most of them are thinking something like, that's so cool. This dude looks great. He's doing something awesome, and almost everybody has some idea, some dream in the back of their heads. But the people who are willing to work for it are just, such a small fraction. And this was actually what I was talking about with one of my relatives, the last week. Because, well, my schedule is not as hardcore as yours was, but still, I have an 8-hour day job, and, I too have a girlfriend, I have a social life and stuff like that. Plus, I'm working with the drum set, with the channel, and so on and so on. So basically, I'm sleeping about 6 or 7 hours max, so I can, do all this. And he was asking me, okay, so how are you doing this? And you always get the talent speech, It's like, yeah, it's cool. I wish I had your talent. And I was like, bro, I'm working my fucking ass off. What talent are you talking about? So, and people start getting with excuses, It's, well, I don't have time, or I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too this, I'm too that. No, you're not. I mean, if you want it bad enough, you can do it. So, it just, if you want it bad enough, you stop making excuses, and you stop telling yourself these stories, like, I'm too this, to that. I live in fucking Bulgaria, which I guess for the majority of people who are listening to us might be an unknown place. So let me just tell you one sentence about it. It's a small country in Eastern Europe, which for like 40 years lived in deep communism. So here to tell somebody, even today in 2020, to say, yo, I'm a musician, it's it's a dirty word. It's you don't say this to people, because here everybody believes that musicians cannot feed families and stuff like that, and being a musician is all nice and stuff, but
Dog,
it's a serious job.
I hate to interrupt, bro, but that's not just Bulgaria. That's the whole planet.
Well, I know, but here it is like multiplied by 10, and it's insanely hard here to really feed yourself and your family with music. So whenever I tell somebody, yo, I'm an IT, but one day I want to be a professional musician, and they're looking at me like I'm taking some sort of LSD, man. And yeah, but this is what I want to do. And if it's not for your video, and if it was not for all the support I got from you and the guys from Discord, I might not even start it in the first place. So yeah, it can happen. Everything can happen. It's just you need to work and have some patience.
I took from that story 2 important points I want to talk about. The first is small things first.
Yeah.
The problem with people is not that they can't work, and the problem is not that it's not that people are necessarily even lazy. It's that when you present them the task of getting to whatever it is that they really want, it's just so overwhelming. When you see whatever it is that they want to, maybe they want to be something that you would see on TV, or like an actor, or you want to be in some kind of art, or whatever the case may be, it's too overwhelming, and that's the part where people just have to quit, because it's just so much. They can't really figure out where to start, how to get going, how to keep going. And then when they think about the road ahead, it's so easy to quit because of so much ahead of them, right?
Yeah.
So the secret, the most important thing anybody can do that's trying to achieve something is start, now I'm not saying necessarily meditate specifically, but start trying to quiet your mind down to 1 or 2 tasks a day. That's all you want to do. Like when I was making the biggest strides in my career, I was moving way faster than I am now. And the reason why I'm moving slow now is because I have way too many things in a day to distract me. Back then, I had 3 things. And I had 3 things because I had no opportunities. I had nobody knocking at my door. I had no emails to answer. I had no phone calls. I had no patrons. I had nothing. I had a shitty warehouse job that I was that had no take home. right? So there was nothing to distract. Once I clocked out, I was done, right? So nothing to distract me after work because there was no homework of any kind. There was no courses on the side. There was no girlfriend. Literally, there was no girlfriend for like 3 years. I made sure that I got involved with no one. There was nothing, right? There was, if I was completely drained to the point where I had to lay on the couch and pass out, I would maybe watch Game of Thrones or something. But that was the only thing in my life that I really even had outside of work, drum, and sleep. Oh, and I would work out, of course. I would exercise.
Yeah.
But that's the most important part, is simplify your day down to almost nothing and make the task that is going to get you, that you know is the fundamental key center of your future. Make that task the first thing you do and make it the primary thing you focus on, and don't allow anything else in. Don't look, I went 5 years without a cell phone. Don't allow anything else in. No distractions, and you'll get there. But that's the most important part. Cut your friends out, cut your relationships out that aren't going to benefit you in the long run. If your family is destructive, if they're telling you that, you need to get a day job, this is silly, they want other things for you, and
listen to them,
then don't listen to them, cut them out, move on, whatever. And that's harsh to say, but like, ask any professional. It's always that way, right? Because you have to simplify it down to one singular focus, and you have to attack that focus with everything you have. And that makes it's very freeing. It's so simple. Once you actually simplify down to that, the stresses, the anxiety, the depression, all of those things that are like occupying your mental space, your bandwidth each day, what car, what gas, where to go. Like, if you take all that out of the equation, and you, even the social aspects, like so-and-so said whatever at the fucking club on the weekend. Like, if you take all that out of your experience as a human, you will become more one-dimensional, yes, but you will achieve whatever it is. And it doesn't have to last forever. That's the thing that I kept telling myself, is that one day I'm not going to have to do this. One day I'm going to be able to sleep in to, like, now I get up at 9, 10 a.m. I go to bed at midnight after playing 2-3 hours of video games with Lindsay or watching YouTube or whatever it is, right? Because I spent the time, 5-6 years of just that singular dimensional lifestyle that gave me the quote-unquote talent so that I can now do whatever it is that I choose. And there's opportunities and doors that have opened in front of me because I spent those time, I put in those hours, right? Those things that you sacrifice will all come back tenfold so long as you put in that work. Now, that's the first point. The second thing I wanted to say was the last thing you said. I didn't like that. It didn't resonate well with me, okay? Everything you do, who you are, everything, like every little tiny detail that you put out to the world in any form, whether it be a conversation over the internet like we're having right now, whether it be a face-to-face chat with an old friend at a bar over a beer, whether it be a Facebook status, whether it be a YouTube video, anything that you are putting out to the world to describe yourself in any way, you must refine to what you believe you are. What you are. Don't even let the word believe come into the matter, because that will take away from the fact of what you are. You want to make sure that you're always identifying with what you are. So don't ever tell anybody, this is a little bit of advice for you, but obviously for the listener as well. Yeah. Don't ever tell anybody that you are in IT. I got so angry at my mom once when I was younger. She told somebody at her job that I work at the mall now, but I'm trying hard to be a musician. There's two things wrong with that. First of all, I am a musician. Second of all, I'm not trying to be anything. I am a musician. You don't need to tell them I work at the mall. You don't need to talk about that. That's bullshit. I understand you. Yeah. I am a musician, period. I'm a content creator, period. Whatever it is, that's what you are. And when you put those waves out, when you emulate that on that frequency, right? When you, whatever it is, whether it be the conversation at the beer or any of those other things, when you address yourself like that, you are empowering those things to come to you. Absolutely. Right? Until you actually make that claim, that aggressive statement that you believe this. No, sorry, I will use the word believe again. That you are this, and it's factual, written in stone, blood packed. Until you make that declaration to the world, you will only ever be trying. Yeah, absolutely. The moment you decide, it's like there's a really great quote. It's like, whatever you believe you're right, or whatever it is, right? So like that's the case of it. Is like once you decide then the doorways will start to open to adjust your experience to that sort of outlook. And like, there's a lot of like in self-help books, there's all kinds of like spiritual crap that goes along with what I'm saying. I don't really get into a lot of that stuff because you can like look at it from those sort of hokey pokey kind of ways, but I just look at it from the realism of what it is. You're putting out energy every time you talk to somebody. You're putting an idea. Like right now, I'm putting an idea in the listener's head and in your head.
Yeah.
Right. And that energy will return to me in waves, whatever the case may be. If I'm being negative to you, if I'm attacking you, that energy will come back to me.
Yeah.
If I'm being positive, I'm trying to uplift you or encourage you, that energy will come back to me. If I am stating something, like I was just saying, like of who I am and what I am, then people will believe that. You know, people will believe that, and they will address you as that, and they will talk about you as that, and it will resonate with the masses as what you claim and what you put out. So you have to make sure at all times you're putting out exactly what you are, and you have to believe that what you are is whatever you want to be. You stop believing that you want to be it, and you start living like you are it. You know what I'm saying? So those are the 2 points I wanted to address just from what you said.
Yeah.
But your story was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I really can't agree more with what you're saying, and it's true that I made a sidestep saying that I'm an IT because what I'm talking with my friends and my relative and fellow musicians here face to face. I was always saying this, what you just said. I mean, somehow in a different way I realized this, and I've always said that. I'm no longer an IT who's trying to be a drummer. I am a drummer who so happens that I have to work as an IT, but I am a fucking drummer. Because some time ago, when I was starting all this and I saw that I can do this and I can get better, I just, took the decision that I might have to live in my car, I might have to struggle for years and years, but I will become what I want to become with drums, and I will make this my profession, or I'm gonna just fucking die trying. And I'm not, I'm not just using fancy words or, some motivational crap. I really think this, and yeah, I mean, everything you said is just resonating so well with me, and you're so right, man, because in order for anybody to believe in you and to view you in some way, you must be the first one to do it. I mean,
yeah, exactly. That's
totally,
the best way.
Totally,
the last sentence there, that's the best way of putting that. I'm glad it's resonating with you. The idea too of like suffering and like living in your car, and you hear all these horror stories of like the guy from Nike. Like, I don't know if you've heard his story, but like he started in California. Yeah, exactly. So he started in California, driving up and down the highway selling shoes out of his car for years before Nike all of a sudden took off, right? You hear all these stories about how like people have to go through these extreme endeavors to get to the other side. And those stories resonate with people, and that's why you hear them, because when that kind of motivation spreads, that's so, like, when you hear that, you think, God, if he could do that, what the fuck is wrong with me? You know what I mean? Like, that's
totally,
why,
bro, totally.
Exactly, right? That's why that stuff is so powerful and becomes so, like, normalized in the realm of trying to, like, motivate somebody, right? But, like, to the contrary, as many people as there were who suffered extremes to get to whatever they wanted, there was a lot who like suffered reasonable extremes. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot in the in-between. What I found was I was terrified because I thought that going into this, I thought I was going to have to sleep in my car. I thought I was going to have to make this sacrifice, that sacrifice. But the more sacrifices I made and the simpler I made my life, going back to kind of what I was saying before, the more I realized that really it's not that bad. It's not like Robert Herjavec. He's one of the guys on Shark Tank, and a very famous Canadian because he's a billionaire Canadian. He's, has a couple awesome, fantastic international companies that were started in Canada. He wrote a book called The Will to Win. And in the book, he talks about how, you got to make some sacrifices, but usually they're pretty reasonable and it's not that much. If you can make some small sacrifices daily and you can consistently make those sacrifices, they add up and they compound to the energy of what big sacrifices would be, but everything is moved very slowly. It takes 15 years to make an overnight success. That's the truth of it, because you have to go through 15 years of small daily sacrifices. And like, a lot of people will get, deterred from a dream because of that, because of the pain. They like that, people think ahead and be like, wow, like that person went through that to become that good. It's like, yeah, but like, you don't really have to do that to get to a similar level or a similar level of success. Like it's not.
Yeah.
If you keep it simple, like I was describing before, you get adjusted pretty quick to the couple things that you no longer can indulge yourself with. But the excitement and the journey that you're now putting yourself on so quickly replace all of the other things that you're occupying your time with, that you don't even think about it, like in the last whatever, I gave up going to parties when I was in high school because I would rather stay home and drum, and just simple things like that, right? Like, you start to uncover and unlock these really cool experiences. Like, I got to tour all over the place, and I saw things and did stuff that I never dreamt of. And it's a byproduct of a bunch of other sacrifices I made. It kind of leveled out, like, I didn't go to college. I didn't make it through high school. I didn't finish high school. I didn't have a ton of friends in high school. I barely even now, like I have a strong social group, friend group now, support group now, but I'm 25, and only in the last 3 to 4 years I've been able to develop that. Through high school and my teens, I had no idea. I didn't have any friends. I had my band and that's it, right? And I wouldn't hang out with anybody. I didn't have time to hang out. I was busy with my pad or busy on the next cover or whatever it was. And like, you make those sacrifices then so that you can have these other experiences that will trump your wildest dreams later on, So it's all super important to just like, it really comes down to perspective too, like you have to look at it that way, that like you have to keep your head level, and you have to understand that like, okay, you get what you give, so put in this and that will come back. It's like a currency almost, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For each sacrifice, it will come back tenfold. It's like this, that seems to be like the theme of this episode. It's just like, you get what you give, and whatever you resonate will resonate to you, so.
Absolutely. So I just have two quick additions to what you're saying. Again, cool. I'm totally on your opinion, but I don't know if you've heard about Corey Wayne. I think he's something like a life coach or something. Anyway,
no.
So he has a great book which is called How to Be a 3% Man.
Sorry, what was the title?
How to Be a 3% Man.
3% Man? Oh, yeah. Got you. I've heard of the book.
It's awesome. It's basically more or less something like a relationship book, but it teaches you a lot of things. So one of his famous quotes is, people will do more to avoid pain than they will do to gain pleasure. So what you were saying is exactly this. People are going to see all the gruesome work it takes. People are going to see all the pain which is associated with making their dream come to life, and this is mostly what's making them quit, because they will do more to avoid pain, so just skip it, than they will do to gain pleasure, so to make the dream come true. And what you were saying, the second thing is what you were saying about that most probably, statistically, you won't have to get into such extremes as living in your car or being broke or, struggling to put something on the table. Yeah, that's true. But I think that even though that's true, you need to be with the extreme mindset, because if you've read, we're just throwing some book names here, but The Art of War by, I just don't know how to read that in English, but The Art of War by the old Chinese general. So I really don't remember the whole book, but this one sentence just stuck in my head, and it's like something in the lines of, when the soldiers know that they're gonna die, they fight the hardest, or something like this. So if you accept that it might get ugly, if you accept that you might need to get to the extremes, and you're okay with that thought, and even if you have to literally live in your car, or even if you have to work shit jobs just to be able to afford, to live while you're working for your dream, nothing can stop you. I mean, it might not get so far as to doing this stuff, but if you have the mindset that you're going to do absolutely everything that's needed, and regardless of your situation and how the odds are stacked against you, you're just invincible. And yeah, you just need to have, everybody's nowadays is talking about the why. Every book you read, every post in Facebook you watch, every short motivational video, they're all talking about the why. But it's true. I mean, if your why is strong enough, nothing can beat you. And in my case, my why is so strong, and I've decided that I want to change my life, and this is how I want to live. So I'm gonna do it. I mean, there is no other option. I'm gonna do it, or I'm gonna fucking die trying.
Yeah, there's a Drake lyric that's like this has always been do or die, but hang on, I'm gonna screw it up. I'm gonna paraphrase.
Okay.
It's like this has always been do or die, but dying has never been a part of the plans, or something like that. Yeah. And that's exactly it. Like I had the same sort of mindset when I was younger, to a dangerous degree. Now, totally dialed back. I had to figure out balance, because it was just becoming unhealthy and I was ruining my life.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, it was dangerous. I wanted success in this so badly that I said to myself, like, our deal that I made was, if I'm not touring the world by the time I'm 25, I'm gonna kill myself. That was a deal. That was a deal I made at 16. So I was like, I came to the conclusion that there was nothing worth living for except for this, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get this done. And if I can't do it by the time I'm 25, which gave me 9 years or whatever, which gave me 10 years. If I can't get it done by then it's not worth living after that. And obviously things changed. I just turned 25 and no one's touring because of COVID. So
yeah,
so obviously you got to pivot a little along the way. And I mean, I'm kind of I've definitely taken a lot of turns, because I never pictured myself being a YouTuber. I never thought this was going to be. But I mean, as the industry evolved, more and more things are going online, and now it's at the point where I'm kind of ahead of the game, because COVID's pushed the music industry aside. And now, if you want to be an artist in 2020 going forward till 2021, 2022, you really have to have this online element to your work. And I'm kind of ahead of the game, fortunately, on that. So there's always going to be pivots and stuff, but that's kind of a sidetrack from the point. The point is that it's exactly like how you described it. You have to go into what you're going to do with that mindset, which is that this is what I'm going to do, this is what I am, and if anything gets in my way, it's going to regret it ever did, and that right there, that commitment to yourself, I think for a lot of people, that's one of the hardest things to do. And I don't think I would have been able to do it if it wasn't for my parents. Like, my parents raised me in a household where this type of philosophy and these ideals were driven into my skull at a super early age. Like, I was really young, and my dad was explaining to me that you can do anything, but you have to pick one thing and you have to do it more than anybody else. I remember being 5 years old, 6 years old, and my dad telling me stuff like that. And because of that, my first dream, I was super young, and I was like, I'm going to be a professional skateboarder. And then my second was, when I got a little bit older, I started playing football. And my second was, okay, I'm going to go to high school. I'm going to be a star player, right? I played rep football for 7 years. I'm going to go to high school. I'm going to be a star player on the team. I'm going to get picked up by university. I had my eyes set on Florida State because I love Florida. I wanted to go to Florida State and play ball, and then I wanted to go on to play for an NFL team eventually, right? Yep. And it was that was my whole thing. I never at one point had, and my fallback right now, even though obviously that's bullshit, I don't have a fallback, but I always play with the idea of okay, if tomorrow being a musician completely gets torn off the planet, if being a musician is not an option anymore, then I could see myself pivoting into being like a Twitch streamer, like video games, because like it's already pretty similar to what I'm doing, and like the skill sets are pretty like there's a lot of crossover. Yeah. And I already have done so many successful streams on my YouTube channel that I feel like obviously it would be another uphill battle for a while, because you know, despite the success I've had in this area, it is a pivot. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like I could definitely make the gap. And then the other thing is, like, I've always thought that, hey, if drumming doesn't work out, then I could be like something in fitness. You know, I don't know what, like maybe like probably not like a personal trainer, but like, I don't know. I modeled for like 6 years when I was younger, so I could see myself.
What I was about to say, maybe you could be a model or something.
Yeah. I was signed to an agency when I was younger, and I would tour. And when I got off the road, I would be around looking for work. So I would do agency gigs and like, you know, ad campaigns and stuff, and that's what kept money in my pockets when I wasn't, you know, able to play. So. I had experience in that, so that was another thing that I thought maybe I could pivot to this one day if music completely got ripped away, but obviously that's never going to happen, so.
Yeah. Well, you actually have been very lucky to grow up in a house where, as you said, everything, all this philosophy has been drilled down your skull. My background is a little different. I mean, my family is all about playing it safe, you know.
Yep.
And yeah, it was a shock. It was a shock for them, but you know, I just kept doing it, and I just disregarded all the, you know, friendly, loving advice of yeah, that's a nice hobby, but are you really gonna do this for a living? I mean, come on, you're an intelligent person, you know it's not gonna happen. Anyway, so last night, right after our session, I called my mom. It was shit late, like 11 p.m. here in Bulgaria. But anyway, I called her and I said, "You remember Wyatt?" Because, bro, everybody knows about you. And I was like, "Yeah, you know Wyatt?" And she's like, "Yeah, what about him?" And I was like, "Well, I'm starting a podcast with him." And she was like, "No shit." And she was genuine, man. And I was like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do it." And she said, "Well, is that the blonde guy?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "Well,
is that the blonde?"
Yeah, you're the blonde guy here.
Perfect.
Yeah, and she was like, "I don't understand what a podcast is, but you sound excited, and I know that you've been following this guy for a whole year, so you know I'm really happy." And yeah, I mean, it's starting to break off a little bit, all this play it safe, and they're starting to grasp the concept that this is how it's gonna be from now on. But yeah, it's hard, but the truth is that there's always gonna be naysayers, you know. And you said something some minutes ago, and I was just thinking, I think it's Architects again lyrics. I'm not sure.
Naysayer.
Yeah. It's either Architects or it's Bring Me the Horizon. I'm not sure, but the lyrics are something like, it's Bring Me the Horizon. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die, or something like this. So everybody wants to do something cool with their life. Everybody.
That's Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Everybody wants to accomplish something, but nobody wants to lease their ass to the hard work.
Yeah, that's right, dude. You know what, too, and like something to talk even further, keep piling on, is the thing that you were saying about like, yeah, they're like your family and your peers are starting to loosen up and understand that like, okay, maybe there is a way to do something here, yeah. And you know, whatever, right? The whole play it safe mantra doesn't work anymore. You know, that's the thing, is like, this is not 1965 or 1982. This is
Absolutely.
not.
Yeah.
This is not the old world. This is not 9 to 5 from the age of 18 till 65, retire and, you know, have grandchildren. This is not that world anymore. This is a disrupted, messy place that we're living in, a interconnected planet that with so many what ifs and so many up in the airs and so many things to watch out for. Like all the people people who thought they had a job until they were older just lost it because of COVID-19. So now how are you playing it safe by doing that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
totally. Yeah.
There really is no playing it safe anymore. There's just the ability to, to overcome. You know, and that's what it's coming down to, is like the people who can overcome, can adapt quicker, can keep moving forward, keep their head down, and don't get comfortable. Because the second you get comfortable, you get lazy, you get complacent.
You've already lost.
You become dull. You're right. You become like a dull, used old knife. And like, you can't just sit on the shelf anymore and wait till 65 and retire. It just is not an option, you know? Like, even jobs where that used to be an option in the United States, they don't make enough money for that to even be a viable option anymore, you know? So it's a different world out there. And like, the whole idea of doing what I do is a hell of a lot closer to a lot of people now. Like, when I was coming up and started on YouTube, I didn't know a single person near me that had a YouTube account with any subscribers at all, that even considered doing music or anything like that. Well, I knew a couple people, but that was because of bands. But then now I know so many creatives. And maybe you could definitely say that maybe that's to the fact that I am one, and I'm attracting that because of nothing crazy. Just, you know, like, I need a photographer, so I'm going to talk to this guy, and maybe we get a beer, and then he has a friend who's also in film, and then you talk to that guy, and he has a friend who's a musician, and, you know, so maybe that's part of the case. But it feels like my perspective on it is there's a lot more people that are just going for it now, because the alternative is really not that safe anymore, you know?
Yeah, totally. By the way, that's so true, that if you start creating content, regardless of what the content is, like, it doesn't matter if you're a drummer, if you're if you're painting, or if you're singing, or you're dancing, whatever. Once you start doing it and you keep doing it for some amount of time, you naturally start to gravitate towards and pull other creators to you. So while I was doing the drumming videos, now I know like a handful of photographers, videographers, a professional, a guy who worked in a television, and they're all my age, and before that it was like, where are these people? Are there any people at all here in my area who are having jobs different than, sitting behind a computer and doing IT stuff? So the more you do it, the more you find like-minded people and people who are creative and are doing something in regards to art. And also about the dull knife, I want to add something again. It's a lot of people like to hold back. Hold back on effort. And I've seen this, I've heard this, I've talked to people, and they told me, because every single minute that I have free, I'm reading. And it's either I'm reading about photography, I'm reading about, books about sound engineering, or I'm doing some drum exercises. I'm doing something that is going to push me one step further into what I'm doing and what I'm trying to accomplish. Every single minute. I have I can't just sit and watch TV. I just can't. I physically can't. I will, I get all anxious. I get all depressed that right now I could be doing something productive, but here I am watching TV, which, is not so healthy. But anyway, and people were telling me, okay, you've got 300 subs. You have 400 subs. You're still nobody. Why are you putting all this effort? What are you gonna do once you get it, when you blow up? And my answer is, well, how else am I gonna blow up if I don't do it? I'm trying every single video to improve on video, on audio quality, on my playing or the content I'm doing to pick better songs, and even with this podcast, this is my life now, man. I'm gonna take this pretty personal. So people need to stop holding back on effort and just put it all in. Doesn't matter if you're a beginner, if you're a pro, if you're DimitarK or fucking Wyatt Stav. Just put it all, everything you've got. Because if you do it consistently, and consistently you're going the extra mile, doing something that you don't have to, but you can, you're gonna arrive. Otherwise, you're just one of the many people who are just, skipping along.
Yeah, dude, I got two things off that. Is the first was like when you were talking about like having 400 subs. Like, this is great advice for. Again, I think this is great advice for anybody listening to this who's trying to pursue this, because this comes back to this whole theme that I keep harping on, which is keep it simple. The whole idea of like tracking your subs and all that stuff, that's just, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, I start every session with my students. First of all, I have to level myself, like when I go into a session with a student, it's just a dude I'm hanging out with that I'm going to give some advice to, Just because I have subs and they're trying to do what I'm doing doesn't mean that this is not just another cool human being that we probably share some bands in common that we like,
totally,
and whatever. So just go into it with, don't think about those numbers. And then the other thing, and you know this from the sessions that I've done with you, the other thing is I always go into my sessions saying the same thing to all of my students. The ones that are truly working hard, I always tell them, bro, you're just about to blow. You're just about to blow. Because truly, that's the case of it. Hard work and achievements compound, and as they compound, your growth becomes exponential, and as it becomes exponential, all of a sudden one day it's going to let loose. Boom, right? Like there's been times with my channel that I've looked and I've had 25,000 subscribers in 28 days. Like those numbers are fucking unheard of. Yeah, for sure. When I was like in the 30s and 40s, I was doing like 15 to 20K. And then when I dropped Waking the Demon, I was getting 20 to 25,000 subscribers every month for like 2 or 3 months.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that's just exponential growth because I laid the groundwork with 15 years of every day just getting after.
Yeah.
Because it compounds. And as long as you're putting in the work behind you, eventually you just pop. Within a course of a year, you go from 0 to hero. So don't underestimate yourself and don't underestimate anybody else. Just because somebody at this moment in time doesn't have the same number, right? Like, who the fuck cares? Their success could be any second. It could be any moment that something just, boom, gone. There was a patron I had. There's a patron I had that came to me and was desperate. He came to me in my DMs. He wanted to do what I was doing so badly. He was hitting me up all the time. His English was okay. He's German. So back and forth we were talking, and then I convinced him. I was like, dude, why don't you just join my Patreon? It's only $5 a month to join the Discord server. And there's a bunch of dudes in there that you can kind of hang out with, and I could talk to you in the text channels and whatever. He joins, and I kid you not, man, within 2 or 3 weeks of being a part of the community, and I'm not saying this is this is why he succeeded, not at all. I'm just saying that he joined, and within a couple weeks of him joining, he went from 0 to hero just like that. He exploded. He got offered an opportunity to go on tour with this band that he played his first show to 1,100 people or something like that. I remember he sent us a playthrough video, and I couldn't believe it because he went from a few hundred subs, like your size, a few hundred subs, to all of a sudden playing a festival in Europe. Just all of a sudden. And then he went on tour, and then we never heard from him ever again because now he's just touring like crazy.
I know about him.
Yeah, right? And yeah, it's just one of those things. It's I guess the moral of all that is it could be any second that you blow. So don't worry too much about it. Just keep hustling, keep compounding the experience. And then the other thing I wanted to say was why I agreed to do this podcast, dude. And that's something that I already told you, which is that when you see people that are working towards something and have all these same
mindset
attributes as you, characteristics as you, and are willing to sort of put their life on the line like you are, and how serious you're taking your career, then you want to stay with those people as long as possible. Because if you could find somebody who's for example, there's been so many times where I've worked with people because I guess I could say I've settled with working with a certain individual, obviously, because I knew of somebody that I wanted to work with greater, but I couldn't afford them or something like that, right? And I'm concerned in the back of my head, like, are they going to get back to me? Okay, they said they were going to have the mix back this day, and I'm still waiting on it. It's been 2 days, or it's been 5 days, or it's been 7 days, or, you know, the music video was supposed to be done by now. What's taking so long? Or man, they promised so much more than what they delivered on, or all these things, man. But as you get further along, you start to find people that you can put your trust in and walk away from. Like, when you hit me up and was like, I'm going to do this, and like what you just said, you're going to put everything into this. Like, that's what I saw right away. I was like, okay, like, this is something where I can show up, I can sit down, and we can have a great conversation once a week, twice a week, totally 3 times a week, whatever we decide on, you know? And I can trust that he's going to go, you know, blood for blood. He's going to dig in and get the job done. And I don't have to think. And the second you can delegate something like that off to an aspect of your life, the second you can, okay, that's being taken, like, that's one of my greatest assets is Lindsay. You know, she's 50% of my success. And that's because I can, you know, I can tell her, not even tell her as much as we agree on, because she runs things that I don't even know how to do at this point, you know? So I can tell her, like, okay, this got to be done by these times. And she can tell me, get this done by these times, because, you know, maybe she's working with my agent to get us an ad deal, but it requires me to play a song on the kit or something. So she tells me, get this done. We can trust in one another that it's going to be done at that time. And then when you come across people like that, that's pure fucking gold. You have to stick by those people till the end. And I have people in my immediate, like, geographical group, right? Not just online, because a lot of the people that I stay in touch with are all over the United States, and I can't get to unless I'm on a plane. And right now I can't get to because the border's closed. Yeah. But I have people within my geographical, vicinity that I can drive to here in Canada that are like that I will do anything for, because I know that if I need them to come through on a project, or I want to include them in something, that it will be done to the absolute best of their ability before I ask for it, you know? And those traits, to have those traits and demonstrate those traits to people, most people will not give a shit. But you're going to come across somebody eventually who's actually doing this for real, doing whatever you want to do, doing that for real. And they're going to see that in you, and they're going to stick to you like glue, because potential is so fucking important. Or, sorry, not potential. Potential without work ethic is nothing. That's a better way of saying it. As soon as you see that work ethic, you include that in everything that you are, and all of a sudden, like, now you have an asset that you can grow and build with. Right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And that's been one of the cool. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I didn't want to interrupt you. I just wanted to, you know, quickly say that, you know, I was thinking about doing this for a long time, like months, but exactly what you said, I just wanted to make sure that I can do this, because you know that I had a podcast here in Bulgaria for maybe 7 or 8 episodes, so I just wanted to make sure that I can do it. I have the qualities that are needed to do it before I can even, you know, think of asking you. And you were, it was funny because I didn't expect for you to agree to this, because I know that you're busy. I know that, you know, a lot of people are contacting you, and you know, you just have a lot of on your plate now that you're so big. But when I proposed you, I really meant what you said, and I really meant that I'm gonna do this regardless if you're gonna join or not, and I will put my you know, my soul and my heart into it. So you can count on this, and maybe you know, since the year we've been communicating and all the sessions we had, you have some idea of my, you know, of my why, and my intention, and my discipline to do stuff.
Yeah, when you come across people, like lots of opportunities are lots of quote unquote opportunities are showing up in my email every single day. It's like you said, I'm a busy guy. It's true. Like I get lots of stuff that I could occupy my time with. But the second I come across somebody who like is proven to me, not like I need anything to be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
just like,
yeah, sure.
I notice things about somebody, right? The second I know, and there's lots of people in my life that I I cherish because of these qualities. Second, I notice that, you know, somebody has in my mind what it takes because they're, you know, they're getting after, they're working longer, they're working harder, all those things. Then like, it's a no-brainer, because if I get hit up by like another channel who wants to do a collab and they have a ton of views, and I have to choose that over doing a podcast with you, even though the opportunity is technically better on paper to take the immediate collab versus working with you long term, even though that's the case, that channel hasn't proven shit that they're going to actually come through. Whereas on the other side of the table here, I have somebody who is hungry, who is going to fight for it, and has shown and demonstrated in a way, in a place that I can visibly see that he's going to get after harder than most people. Second you see that, it's like, okay, that's a no-brainer. And like, I'm saying this not just for you, not just to flatter you, but for if you, you know, if you are a creator, you know, absolutely. If you're a creator and you're at home and you get these kind of opportunities, or you see people within your immediate web, even if it's kind of not too similar, even if it's not too similar of a field, like I've become best friends with rappers because they worked harder than everybody else, and I knew that there was something I could gain from them. I didn't know what yet, but I knew that there was going to be something I would gain from them, and eventually in most cases that's what happened. You find those people who have those qualities, that character, you know, we're going to come through for you when you need it to, and all that kind of stuff, and then you stick by them, that loyalty, right? And then great things eventually happen, because you can go a lot further with a man who is fishing than anybody you got to teach, you know.
Yeah, totally.